First here at 10, a state lawmaker is accusing some colleagues of drinking on the job. But numerous legislative leaders say he is crossing a line.
News 4's Spencer Humphrey breaks down the war of words here that's followed just days before lawmakers are set to return to the Capitol.
State Senator Shane Jett has a lot to say.
Spencer, members were drinking.
About what he claims some of his fellow senators did while waiting to take their final vote last year.
There was bottles of alcohol in offices. Invitations on the floor, come up to my office and have a drink, were being issued to the members.
He claims they got
drunk.
And he told Senate President Pro Tem Lonnie Paxton about it.
This is in violation of the rules, and it needs to be addressed.
But he claims Paxton never did anything. So
the very next morning, Spencer, I submitted a bill request to, I think I called it the No Legislating While Drunk Act of 2026.
Jett says that request went ignored. He also claims Paxton wasn't done.
I have had my presiding officer privileges removed, and I have had my vice chairmanship removed. Instead of addressing it, I am the one being punished for running a piece of legislation and answering honest questions by the media of why I ran this legislation.
Paxton has a different version of things. In a statement, he told us Senator Jett's accusations are baseless and lack credibility. He approached me with these claims in the waning hours of the last day of session, at a point when no action could be taken. This is a pattern of conduct that reflects his need for attention rather than responsible governance. I have made repeated efforts to work with Senator Jett and to provide him opportunities to serve as a constructive and professional member of the Senate. Instead, he has consistently chosen to attack colleagues, criticize a fellow member's spouse, use childish rhetoric, and now is making serious accusations without evidence. Now, there's a lot to unpack there, but Paxton's talking about comments Jett made about Senator Paul Rosino's wife amid the Senate's discussions about firing embattled former Mental Health Department Commissioner Ali Friesen. Rosino's wife happened to work for the department.
They said I attacked a spouse of a member. Let's talk about that. I was attacked by my colleagues, many of whom were fueled by alcohol whenever they were giving haranguing speeches that night. Go look at the footage. And I asked questions that any Oklahoman in the state of Oklahoma understand that if your husband can fire your boss's 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 boss, then that is a conflict of interest if your spouse is working at that agency. It begs the question, did your spouse get that job because your husband was the chairman of Health and Human Services?
But Jett believes the tension really goes back to his choice not to endorse Paxton as pro tem.
I was then relegated to a vice chairmanship in the Administrative Rules Committee with Senator Bergstrom, who is a dear friend.
Bergstrom, like Jett, is also a member of the Senate's Conservative Freedom Caucus. But he sent out his own statement Thursday saying, in part, Senator Jett is choosing to work against the broader goals of the Senate caucus rather than working collaboratively to make a positive impact for our state. Adding, the continued rhetoric, name-calling, and efforts to demonize fellow members have gone too far. When I consider his troubling behavior on the floor at the end of session last year, his attacking another senator's family member, and his continuing pointless attack on the pro tem, which does nothing to advance our conservative agenda, I see the pro tem's actions as justified. Meanwhile, Paxton ended his statement saying, leadership requires seriousness and integrity. Senator Jett has demonstrated neither of these qualities because he's more interested in making headlines than he is in governing. As for Jett,
I ran a bill for 3 years in a row to remove pedophiles from Oklahoma schools, and they have declined to hear those bills every single year.
Well, he's certainly not one to sit down quietly.
And Lonnie Paxton, the president of the Senate, says that, oh, Shane wants attention. Yes, I do. And thank you. Now that I have your undivided attention, I would like for you to uphold the rules and your oath of office to the Constitution of the state of Oklahoma and not pretend that you and other members are above the law.
In Oklahoma City, Spencer Humphrey, Oklahoma's News 4.
Spencer, thank you. The new legislative session begins Monday.